I just spent $5,100 on a camera that most other YouTubers are saying doesn't feel premium, and I'm betting the next 30 days on this, taking it daily with me and literally shooting photos every single day. That's how I'm challenging myself to see if this is the ultimate everyday carry camera. My name's Jared with 48 North Photo. More on that potential name change later. I'm a professional photographer and I'm going to be testing this camera out over the next 30 days, but I wanted to give you my initial thoughts having used this camera for the last several days and having spent my own money on the camera where most other YouTubers had it as a loaner. Now, I decided to purchase this camera because I really wanted the last generation RX1R. It's very old, over 10 years old at this point, and there have been many times over, I'd say, the last 5 years where I've considered purchasing it, even though it was much slower technology and had the old menu system and even got to be hard to find at times. I still wanted it because of its compact nature. And over the last few years, I've chased that compact camera mindset with the Leica cameras. And I mean, if we set these two next to each other here, I mean, look at the size difference between the two of them. Now, I've made several videos about the Leica. We'll talk a little bit more about that throughout this video, and you can actually go and view my Leica Q3, Leica Q343, Leica Q3 versus A7CR videos. I've got a handful of them. This tiny camera reminds me of the days when I was carrying the RX100 every single day. That was my daily camera for a lot of years, and I even have several videos about that camera. And the RX100 is another camera that just got a little old and wasn't performing the way that I wanted it to, so I stopped carrying it and started carrying bigger cameras because I wanted the faster autofocus. I wanted the higher resolution. I wanted some of the better features in low light and just things that have come with the advancements in technology over the last several years. And the RX100 didn't have that anymore. The last version of the RX1R did not either. So when Sony announced this camera, which certainly seemed to come out of nowhere, this camera seems to answer all of the cries to a lot of Sony photographers who have tried out the Leica Q3, spent very premium dollars on a compact camera so that they can carry something smaller than their A7R, their A7 IV, or their A1 for that matter. We wanted a compact everyday carry type of camera, and Sony wasn't answering that call until they came out with this camera. Now, up until this point, the A7CR really has been my everyday carry. Now, even though I have the Leica Q3 and I really enjoy that camera, I always gravitate back towards the A7CR because it's fast. The autofocus is extremely quick and accurate. The menu system and everything else about the camera is what I'm already familiar with, so it's a faster camera for me when I want to grab a camera out of my bag and fire off a couple of quick shots. I have 4 kids. I'm often doing different things with their activities and with them, and then I also have my business and my own activities, and I want a camera that is quick. And the Leica Q3 is not a super quick camera. It's an amazing camera, but it's not fast, and it's not really designed to be fast. It's a camera designed to do its best to get out of your way, but to make you think about your shot. And in my seemingly fast-paced lifestyle, it just wasn't fitting the bill for me, which is why I ended up going back to that A7CR. So with the RX1R3, I was hoping that this camera would solve all of the problems. It's a familiar system for me. It has the fast and accurate autofocus system that I'm used to in my A1 II and also the A7CR. But the big question that I hope to answer over the next 30 days of using this camera every single day is it worth $5,100 when I have other Sony cameras that I can use? When you look at the A7CR and this camera next to each other, yes, this is a very small camera, but is it $5,100 smaller? And am I going to use this camera in instances where I might not use this camera because it's just a little too big and not as convenient to carry? So let's talk about my first impressions with this camera. When I opened it, I haven't seen really anybody do any unboxings of this camera, and I should have filmed my unboxing of it because I felt like I was unboxing a Leica. I have unboxed many Sony cameras over the years and even more lenses, and the unboxing experience for this camera was unlike any other camera that I have had from Sony. It was very much like unboxing a Leica Q3, which I was really surprised, but also kind of impressed that Sony upped the game a little bit because they are positioning this camera as a Leica Q3 competitor. I guarantee that what they were saying to themselves in the boardroom was, Sony photographers are buying $7,000 Leicas and we need to give them something to buy, so let's give them the camera that they're asking, let's knock a few $1,000s off of it and see if it takes. And yes, there are a few things about this camera that definitely turned my head at first. I mean, to be completely honest, I filmed a video before receiving the camera and had all of my gripes already preloaded, and I decided not to even edit or release that video because I wanted to have my hands on the camera first and I wanted some time to let the dust settle. A lot of times we're quick to get frustrated at things that we think should have been different. Yes, I would have liked to see a more modern lens on this camera. Yes, I would have liked to see a flip screen or maybe some IBIS. There's things that I would have loved to see on this camera, but there's likely many sacrifices that would have had to be made along the way. And over the next 30 days of using this camera every single day, I plan to discover whether or not those are truly deal breakers or if they're acceptable. So starting on August 1st, I've been carrying this camera every single day. I actually backed this bag on Kickstarter a while ago from Clever Supply Co. And the camera fits really nicely inside of this bag. One of the challenges that I have is carrying a small camera bag. I don't typically carry a bag like this. This is a bigger bag. If I was going to carry anything at all, I'd want it to be super tiny, maybe just barely larger than the camera itself. So figuring out a convenient way for me to carry the camera is going to be the biggest challenge because I don't necessarily need a bag this big for this camera. You can see that this camera is a decent size for this bag, but this bag is significantly larger than the camera. So while I really love this bag, and I could definitely put other things in there, I'm not a guy that carries a bag with me every single day, so it's going to be a challenge to figure out the best way to carry this with me so that I have it with me when I have opportunities to capture images. I'm going to be sharing the photos that I capture every single day starting today, and you can check that out at the link below. I'll not only be sharing the photos that I captured that day, but the settings and any insights that I might have about using the camera. And the reason that I'm doing this is because you really need to use a camera every single day to get a good feel for it, especially when that camera is designed to be an everyday carry style camera. So I encourage you to join me on that journey at the link below. I'll also be using it for some client work. I have a couple of small client projects and a conference that I'm capturing images for later on this month, and then I'll also be traveling to visit some family, so I have many opportunities outside of my general area to capture images with this camera. I'll also be taking it out along with the Q3 so that I can capture images with both cameras so that we could do some comparisons in another video. So you'll want to make sure to subscribe to the channel so you could be notified when I put out those update videos. So at the time of filming this video, I'm about 4 days into carrying this camera every single day. My initial thoughts are that I really do like the focal length on this camera. I also love the ability to punch in and zoom in at a couple of different focal lengths and actually get a full screen preview on the back. It definitely has been a challenge not having an articulating display on the back of the camera. I've gotten so used to that I'm no longer cranking my body around with the camera to position the camera and myself so that I can see the image that I'm about to capture, because I can tilt up the display, I could flip it around, I could do anything with that display these days, and you just don't have that feature on this camera. Another thing that I've had to get used to on this camera is adjusting the aperture manually on the lens. Of course, I can go into shutter priority mode and set a shutter speed, or just shoot in full auto, and that will automatically adjust the aperture for me. But it is taking a little bit of getting used to making those adjustments on the lens. And it's also kind of a bummer that you can't de-click the lens. That's something that's pretty common on lenses these days. There are a couple of technical limitations that I'm afraid will be a little bit frustrating, but they are something that can be overcome. First of all is when you're shooting at wider apertures, only having the ability to shoot at 1/2000th of a shutter speed. That means if I want a shallow depth of field and I'm using that f2, I'm probably going to need an ND filter on the front of this lens in order to get proper exposure outside. Now, this probably isn't going to be a huge concern shooting at 35mm, but if I'm punching in and using the 50 or the 70mm feature to capture, for example, a portrait, I'm definitely going to want that shallow depth of field. With time throughout this month, I'll be able to tell whether or not that's truly a concern or if it's something that's all in my head. Another limitation I'm not sure yet is an issue is the age of technology in this lens, being that it's connected to a camera that has really fast autofocus. Is the lens actually going to hold up the performance of autofocus that this camera can provide? And the last potential limitation is the battery, whether or not that older style battery is going to hold up to being a daily use camera. So make sure to follow along with me and those daily photos that I'm sharing. The link to that is down in the description below. And subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when I do my comparisons and my 30-day review after having used this camera every single day for 30 days. If there's something specific that you'd love for me to test, make sure and share that with me down in the comment section below. And lastly, I am testing out this new name of 48 North Photo. I want to differentiate this channel and my photography business from other things that I'm doing online. I live in Montana, which is along the 48 North parallel, and being in aviation, that navigational term really connected with me, and so I thought I'd share it here. So let me know what you think about the potential name change down in the comment section. That's going to do it for this video. We'll see you over on the daily photo uploads. Take care.